The edge is on.
All right. Well, welcome to The Edge. The Edge is on, as our production man said. The Edge is about something today that's kind of special, that goes to something rather deep and big and larger than life. And that's about an election that doesn't happen. We've got a virus, a coronavirus. The corona is around everything and everywhere and everyone. And it may actually end an entire election process. We've got a post office about ready to go down financially because the Congress won't restore the money that and continues to take money away from that post office. And we've got a president who's reluctant to lose office to the extent that he's going to call it as a rigged election. That's Donald Trump. And actually, if the election doesn't occur because of the virus or is stalled off, or another matter comes about, the election goes forward and the Electoral College is the only popular vote is not coming forward. So the states then have to decide without a formal election how the electors will vote. There's 279 electors' votes that decide the election, and they can tie. Now, if that should happen, if a tie should occur, you will have a situation where this goes to the Congress to decide what, very possibly. Not necessarily, but it's happened before, way back in the 1800s, prior to the Civil War. So anyway, this thing has happened before and can happen again. And let's say the challenges to the electoral votes are such that it nullifies the votes in the Midwest that went for Trump the last time. And that creates the confusion in Donald's mind. He starts to think that his cognitive capacities aren't quite as good as he thought they were. So he's a little confused. He thinks he's in 2016, and therefore he won. So any other outcome just can't happen, is not about to happen. And he's not going to let it happen. So he decides that he will create some diversions, law and order everywhere. Peaceful protests are called riots. Insurrection, unlawful dissent, First Amendment rights, well, so what? I'll send in troops from the DHS, from ICE, from the Border Patrol. All these people will come in hidden uniforms, concealed uniforms, camouflage uniforms. And that will create a diversion going right up to the election if necessary. In the process, he creates a tie, which is what I said before. And in the tie situation, the states have to, as I said before, have to come in and exercise the vote somehow. So the Midwest was the key to getting him to win the last time, and the votes are nullified throughout the Midwest and gives him enough to stay in the election, and you have a tie between himself and Biden. Now the Congress comes in and makes the decision. And there's no vice president because there's no election. And the tie and a non-election situation, or not an official election. But since he didn't win, technically he's looked at as being out or he can't finish his term, which is January 20th. And if this situation develops enough, January 20th will be the end of the Donald Trump administration or till someone's actually officially elected. Well, there is another solution for Donald Trump. He could do what Hitler did. He can dissolve the Congress. Hitler dissolved the parliament. And it's called enabling. And it's a device that put Hitler into dictatorship. And it's done in different governments, enabling. It's an enabling act. All the rights of the citizenry go away. The leader has total rights and decides who has rights and who doesn't, if any, and he can act accordingly. So let's say there is that tie, as I premised before. Now you have a situation where Nancy Pelosi starts to loom large, and she can call elections as the leader of the House. So since Donald Trump knows that, and dislikes Nancy, perhaps he'll try to fire her. It's a little bit hard to do if he tries to do it constitutionally. She's pretty powerful. And it's going to be a real contest right to the bitter end. Not through the popular vote, but through the manipulation of the electoral vote, the electoral college. This might be the end of the electoral college if this sort of scenario happens, but it could. So there'll be no winner January 20th to take the inauguration oath and all of that. This is the prospect. It's not made up. It's very possible. The Insurrection Act of 1807 is in place. So if the president decides protests are insurrectionists, rebellion, creating a rebellion, creating secession, all these charges against people protesting Black Lives Matter is probably enough to excite people saying, law and order, we want law and order. We don't care about George Floyd. We want law and order. So there's that sentiment that may capture enough votes for Trump to make it interesting near the end. He's about to lose all the different segments of the population in terms of popular vote. But the electoral vote is quite easy to manipulate. This ball game is far from over. The polls, as we see them now, show that Biden is well ahead. And if he stays that way, this likelihood is, and there's a real election, the post office still stays open, the mail-in ballots continue in place, all those things go along nice, happily ever after. But there's a big, bad maybe. I want to thank you for watching The Edge, and keep it in mind, the election day may not be the last outcome. It's January 20th, one way or the other. Thank you again for watching. Please subscribe. There you have it, Alex. Did you get that? Alex. Alex?